never saw you coming, rolling up behind me in the pouring rain. I was wondering when you show up.
I woke up this morning, it's like 10 o'clock in the morning here, and found these in my a package of these right downstairs in my doorway. So that was convenient. So yeah, the album from you and from Steve, which both came out the same day, which was about 2 months ago. So before we talk about your record specifically, maybe you can just tell me, obviously you're both members of Toto, but what kind of draws the two of you together to work together on each other's records and whatever?
Well, I mean, first off, we're been bandmates for ages, and
Yeah.
And also just really close friends. And we when we finished our last tour in 2019, he already had plans to go in and make his solo record. He did that actually with the style of his record is very sort of 70s. In that he recorded all the musicians at the same time, and they got the whole record basically finished in 2 weeks.
Right.
I worked on it with him, but that was his deal was already set in place, so the record company had it and was coming out. My record, I started working on some songs back in 2016, and very bit at a time chipped away on some of those because we were touring a lot.
Yep.
But in 2020, knowing that we weren't going to be on tour, I sat down to actually make a solo album, but I had no deal or anything or no deadline. And I made it entirely myself with my own money and everything. And so then when it was finished or close to finished, Luke was the one that helped introduce me to the company that was releasing his album.
Right.
And they liked the idea of possibly releasing them together.
Cool. Usually they try to avoid that because they're afraid one's going to cancel the other one out or whatever. So that's
the idea that made it work was just that is for Toto fans who are going to miss seeing us play live for a while.
Yeah.
2 years, in fact, by the time we get back out there, it gives them almost like a kind of a new Toto project, even though it's because the DNA is in there.
Definitely. I mean, you can hear it. There's no doubt about it. And how would you describe that sound from your perspective?
Just a appreciation of just all kinds of different music. Really, that's
right.
Really what. And also as far as Toto goes, I don't think my album touches on it more than anything. But the idea of Toto has always just been a collection of absolutely the best virtuoso players,
yes.
musicians. And so I think that's what has to come across.
Right. And it's interesting. So as a vocalist, how does the fact that you have these amazing musicians playing behind you affect how you approach your vocals?
Well, it helps.
That's good.
It helps a great deal. You know what I mean? A perfect example is Simon Phillips, who played drums on one of the tunes that my demo didn't have any of the creativity of his part that he's
right.
playing. And so after the fact, it led to more, inspiration in terms of, getting the vocal down. And, so that's a perfect case in point right there where his contribution led to the finishing of the song and having it come out the way it is. It's very much part of the arrangement.
Right. So your album opens up with a song called Never Saw You Coming. I noticed in the video there was some brief footage. It looks like of a haka or something, a Maori dancing in there somewhere. Are you aware of that?
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. That is I don't know if you've seen the videos that we did for Luke's songs. There's one of his most recent ones, a song called I Found the Sun Again. And it's basically stars Luke and his girlfriend.
Right.
And that little dancing moment that you're kept seeing in my video is a clip of her.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Because you guys were here in 2019, I think, in New Zealand. So It hasn't been that long, but as a working musician, what is it like for you to be kind of locked out of playing? I mean, obviously you're using the time creatively, but still,
it's horrible. It's
really,
no, absolutely. It's a murder on my soul.
Right.
It really is. I love the balance of being able to do work in the studio and produce and that kind of stuff. But truly, I'm just a healthier person when I'm out on the road. It's just
Right.
And being able to sort of interact with people, on a regular basis, on a daily basis, it just feels good. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just everything about it. So I miss it horribly, and I'm just I'm going like this, hoping that people that we can get ourselves together and get back to it.
Yeah.
I'm confident that it'll be fine, but until then, it's been difficult.
Right. Now you have in addition to members of Toto and studio folks like Lenny Castro and all that, you got your daughters on record as well. Don't Give Up is a very nice, lovely version of that.
Don't give up. I know you can make it good. Though I saw it all around, I never thought that I could be affected.
What made you choose the old Peter Gabriel nugget there?
Just because I love the song. It was
Yeah.
it was really just that simple, and the song just has a real sad quality to me, and his version is brilliant, and no one should ever do another version because his version is so brilliant. But when I started messing around with it, I just started playing with the beginning of it from the standpoint of like a movie score, really, just like
Right.
that kind of thing. And then I just kind of got carried away and realized if I'm going to do that, I'm probably going to have to sing it. And if I sing it, I'm probably going to have to find somebody to sing the Kate Bush part.
Yeah.
And then it just it snowballed like that. But it started with me just sort of, doing a sort of a instrumental film score version of the beginning of that song.
Gotcha.
And I just love it so much that I finished it and I call it an homage to him. It's in no way trying to, in no way am I trying to say that the original isn't the best one and should only be the one that exists.
Gotcha. And of course, your daughter also shows up on Wilma Figadoo.
It's not about you. It's not about you. It shouldn't take forever to discover. I think I was wrong. It's not about you.
And that's a more personal. You've written that song, and that I believe has some kind of personal meaning to you. Maybe you can share that with us a little bit about.
Yeah, it's simple. My mother died when I was a kid, when I was 13 years old, and very, very suddenly, and our family was very close knit and tight. And my parents were high school sweethearts and all of that, and so it was a very devastating period of time. I was 13. My siblings were a couple of years older than me. My
Right.
father was just starting to take off in his career.
Right.
And all of a sudden, all this personal turmoil and everything.
Yeah.
Of course, for a kid to lose his mom is a very, very tough thing. And over the years, I've written little songs or poems or something, dedicated to her or to her or to those kinds of things, and put them on various solo records of mine. And this song it's quite simply just that. On this album, this is my song to her. It's about that. It's just it's about that loss and about that experience, which is why in the video, if you watch the video, most of the imagery is old film footage of her.
Yep. Those Super 8 clips.
Exactly. And my daughter Hannah, who looks an awful lot like her, and is also just a wonderful singer. So, you know, she's in there naturally. And my other daughter, Emma, is also singing in there, singing background. So
Right. Very cool. So it must be nice to have them coming up and being interested in doing it with you rather than kind of rebelling against you, which sometimes they do.
well, sure. And sometimes they, you know, they call and go, I don't want to come over and sing today. So,
Right. Very cool. Now you mentioned your dad, who of course is John Williams. I mean, I have to ask, you know, what kind of influence what he did has an effect on what you do now? You know, I mean, it must be immense, I'm guessing.
It is, but I mean, and at the end of the day, I think that I should say that his biggest influence on me is just learning the discipline of working at it every day.
Right.
Is really what it is, because he's always sort of taught that and talked about that my whole life, and that kind of focus and discipline has mostly escaped me. but as you get old, as I've gotten older, I've come to really appreciate that advice and put it into practice in my life more and more. Just
right.
A little bit, just working a little harder.
Right. And on that mentality, you have a song called No Lessons.
There were so many signs, but I saw none of them. 'Cause there are no lessons, and this isn't one of them. How we do.
It has some lovely muted trumpet on it. And also the lyrical content is kind of related to what you were just talking about, kind of dealing with getting older and thinking about what you know and don't know.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that song was a song contributed by Jay Gruska and his wife Denise,
Right.
Who've known me my whole life. So they kind of set out to write a song for me, where the lyrics suited, you know, my life experience. And it was a challenge because it's very Jay Gruska in, you know, that kind of a song. And he's such a wonderful writer. It's nothing that I probably would have done on my own, you know,
Right.
had I not been given the opportunity. So that I loved it. I loved it just from the standpoint of it being a challenge, but it's also just the song hits home, you know, for me too.
And there is a Beatles cover, If I Fell. Which is interesting. And just in fact, how do you choose what Beatles song to cover? So
Again, I mean, it's like, you know, I did that one not to sort of, that's another one of those songs that never needs to be remade by anybody. I mean, you know, to be honest with you, it's rare to hear a Beatle cover that's really great. You know what I
right.
mean? And so this was not me trying to do that. I mean,
I'll do them.
You know, I mean, like, you know, Joe Cocker's Little Help from My Friends is the best example of a Beatle cover that just has a life of its own and is its own great thing.
Right.
So here again, I wasn't trying to reinvent or doing anything. This was just me singing a song that I love and just, you know, producing the tracks to go along with it. And it got to the point where it sounded kind of finished, and I figured, well, I'm just going to put it on there. People can dig it or not.
Yeah, yep. And the title of the album is Denizen Tenant, and there's a song with the same name.
Denizen Tenant, right hand to the left hand, none whatsoever.
What does that mean, and why have you chosen that to be the title track?
Well, Denizen and Tenant both mean the same thing,
right?
And the song and the lyric is a very quirky lyric, but what it is a sort of a relationship gone bad, roommate relationship situation gone bad, where somebody just can't get the message that it's time for them to leave.
Right. All right.
That's the context of the song. And so they're not only a denizen of your home, but they've made themselves a tenant as well.
Right. Gotcha.
And it's difficult to eject them. And so to my mind, the other definition of a denizen tenant is a guy that's at your party at 5 a.m. and it's like, dude,
Yeah, I know.
you got to go home. And so I loved that as a title for the album, because when I was a young man, I was that guy for sure.
Right.
I was that dude.
Right.
You had to tell me to go home.
Right.
So that's it. That's the meaning.
Very cool. Very cool. So the album came out 2 months ago, along with this album as well. So how did it play out for you in this, COVID environment and all that? Did it feel weird? Did you get the feedback that you needed? Were you craving to be on stage? Obviously you were.
Well, I'm still craving to be on stage, and we're not even sure when that's going to happen. And
Yeah.
but in the meantime, it felt good to just get the project finished, to be honest with you, because it was a lot of it was just sort of a personal thing for me to get it finished. So there was a cathartic sense of relief to just have the album finished and released so that people can hear it. How well it does and whether or not I get a chance to actually play any of this stuff live is all out of my control.
Right.
And so I'm just trying to enjoy the fact that I'm hearing people are enjoying the album.
Right. And you get a lot of feedback online and various.
Yeah. I mean, if you look for it,
Yeah.
if you look for it, there's feedback. I mean, I look at, sometimes I'll look, but to be honest with you, I don't dig too deep because after it's all subjective. Some people dig it, some people don't. I'm happy that some people do, and I'm content. I don't, you know what I mean? I don't need to keep digging to find compliments or negativity.
Gotcha. So what are you gonna do next? You got a plan?
Probably just produce another, project of original material in some way or something. What's coming immediately next is we're releasing a DVD version of our live stream show that we did last November, along with a documentary on the making of it.
Oh,
And
great.
That's going to be coming out in early June.
In early June. Okay. We'll have to look for that. And what was that show like for you?
Well, it was great. It was, Luke and I were sitting around going, we got to play. I mean, we can't go out on tour. And we also wanted to sort of put together what the band, who was going to be in the band and what the band was going to be when we do start playing.
Right.
So we killed 2 birds with 1 stone by getting everybody together, figuring out who was going to come with us when we tour, and then just doing a show. We basically just filmed us performing, and in a setting that was not really a concert situation. There was nobody out there in the audience except our kids and a few crew members.
Right.
But we just put it on camera and zoomed it out to the world for those who were interested.
Yep.
But more than anything, we were going stir crazy. We just needed to get out there, and I mean, you could see us in our bodies. We could just, it looked like we had been, just like cloistered up and just couldn't take it much longer. So we may have to do something else like that again before we go out on tour.
You got to be careful. Very good. Well, thank you for taking time to talk to me. I really appreciate it. Hopefully, you'll hit the stage sometime soon in front of real people and get that out of your system.
Absolutely, and hopefully down there. I loved coming down there. As soon as I'm hearing that people are starting to come down there to do shows. So
well, we have a great local scene, and that's thriving at the moment. We had a big show last weekend with Crowded House, which is obviously a local band. Neil Finn lives right around the corner here. We had 12,000 people there, but there's no international acts coming in because they have to be sequestered for 2 weeks and
Exactly.
It's very picky and family members get priority and all that stuff. So they're working on it, but at least we have some live music happening here. So
that's true.
Plus. Yeah.
We're, moving in the right direction anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, good luck with everything. And again, thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Sure. Bye-bye.